When couples are contemplating divorce, it's a really critical time where it could actually go either way depending on the willingness of each person to work on the marriage and work on themselves in the marriage. So the first thing that I assess for is to find out how willing each person is. The fact that they're both sitting in my office usually indicates that there's a willingness, but that's not always the case. There are times when one person is less willing than the other. So I basically just try very hard to get each person to work harder to hear the other person. In my experience, it's basically that people are not listening. They're trying harder to get the other person to hear them.
You're dealing with a lot of grief and a lot of anger during this time. I mean, grief
Absolutely.
And anger.
Absolutely. I had a case this morning where this couple is fighting like cats and dogs, really angry at each other. And I got them to slow down and stop. And instead of, when the other person's talking, thinking about what they want to say to defend themselves, to stay with the other person's experience. And what ended up happening was they both started crying because underneath their anger was a lot of hurt and sadness.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really moving.
So it's kind of conflict resolution and being a referee.
Right, right.
Which is harder, do you think? Keeping a couple together or helping a couple understand how to love more?
That's an interesting question. I think it's not so much about what direction the couple's headed in, but again, how much they're willing to do the work. That's what makes it hard or not so hard. It's basically when I'm dealing with a more mature, emotionally in touch couple, that's very easy. When I'm dealing with blamers, people who don't want to look at their own part, that can be really challenging. I think that there are three different kinds of people. I think that there are the people who look at marriage as forever after, no matter what. I think that there are people who look at marriage with an escape hatch, meaning they divorce pretty easily and readily. And I think that there's a larger portion of the population that think they're supposed to think that marriage is forever, but who are conflicted because perhaps they do want out. So those are the people that I really wrote Contemplating Divorce for, because they're the ones that stay in the marital indecision cycle. And that cycle is something, any indecision that we have can drain us. But the marital indecision cycle in particular, because marriage impacts so many areas of our lives, and it's such a big decision to want to leave a marriage.
And it impacts the children as well, the family as well, the in-laws as well.
Everybody, friends, workers, everybody, because when somebody's in indecision to a great degree, they're not present. They're not fully in the room with the kids and paying attention. They're distracted, they're being drained. I liken it to a ship with a gaping hole in the hull, that it's going to be losing, steam. It's not going to be able to function.
Bailing.
Exactly. There's never going to not be ambivalence when you're making this big of a decision to either marry or divorce or change jobs or anything that we do in life. Ambivalence is going to be part of it. But again, when it's this tremendous level of ambivalence, it's only going to be draining on each person, the family, the kids, everyone.